So it's a pleasure hosting this very first GenAI bootcamp with Ivy. So I am an Ivy trainer, and I have been a trainer with Ivy for around 7 months now. And professionally, I work as a data scientist for a multinational company. And today we will be actually taking you through the steps of how to build a chatbot using the GenAI techniques. And After we are done with showcasing that, please feel free to post in your questions, and we will be happy to answer. Okay, so I'll be sharing my screen now. Just give me a minute. Yes. So basically, just a heads up on what this project would be about. So we would actually be utilizing the mental health data. So anything and everything regarding to mental illness will be covered in this particular document. And we would be trying to build a chatbot where the entire motive of the chatbot would be basically a conversation between a user and the machine learning model that we have built. So if we post in questions, be it whatever kind of questions we would be posting on mental health data, the model would be utilizing its own techniques, and it would be searching within the document, and it would be building answers accordingly. So as has been said that in this model we will build a chatbot using a fine-tuned GPT-2 language model, and the chatbot will mimic human-like responses, and based on the user input, the response would be created. So the GPT-2 model has basically undergone some fine-tuning steps, and we would be taking you through all the fine-tuning steps, and the end result would be building that chatbot. So let us start now. So in the very first cell that you see here, this is the usual library importing that we are doing here. NumPy and Pandas being the most important libraries that we would be requiring. So after that, we would be, since this project is being hosted on Google Colab, we are actually utilizing the next cell is related to that. So then we are trying to load the data set, which is the mental health FAQ CSV file that we have loaded here. And we are performing some sort of like basically to check the overview of the data set. We would be using df.head to see the first 6 rows of the data. And if we scroll down, so here we are looking at the number of rows and the number of columns that are present in the data set. So just give me a minute. Yeah, with df.shape, we can see the dimensions of the data set as to what it entails. So we can see that there are in total there are 3 columns present in the data set, and with df.info we can get like how many, like basically what is the data type of each column that we are seeing in our data set. So the basic data set includes a question ID column, which is very very similar to a customer ID column, and there are questions, which is the next column, and with respect to the questions there are answers related to that. So if you notice the very first thing that we were doing here in df.head, we'll also be able to see the overview of the data, like there are questions here, and there are respective answers with regards to the questions. So the very first thing that comes to mind would be like, why are we including the question ID in our entire data set, right? So with respect to that, the question ID column actually doesn't add any sort of a value. So we would be dropping that particular column. So here we have used df.drop here. Okay, just give me a minute. Yeah. So we have used this df.drop function to basically drop our question ID column here. So because it will not add any value in answering the questions that the user would be inputting at the end of the model. So that is why we are dropping the question ID column here. And then we are doing the usual data exploration here by checking the duplicates. So once we have checked the duplicates, we would actually be going forward and dropping the duplicates here. So that is that. And with df.describe function, we would be actually looking at the basically the frequency and the top answered questions and so on and so forth. That is what we will look at in the df.describe function. So moving on. Yeah. Now the basic, this is a very important step that is related to any textual kind of a data that we get. So we would actually have to clean the data, right? So over here, we will be writing a function that is basically designed to clean the data, and we would be utilizing the NLTK library for that. So the steps that we would be using while data cleaning are basically this. There is the emoji removal step here. So obviously, like, in basically, if you look at any random document, there are a lot of documents which have certain kind of emojis or various symbols which actually do not make any sense. So for that, we have to basically go forward with the emoji removal, or basically any sort of a special character removal process. And as you see, the next step is the same, the special character removal process. And then we remove the stop words. So stop words are nothing but basically stop words are the kind of words which do not add any extra meaning to your data. So that is why we will go forward in removing the stop words as well. And then then all the text will be converted into lowercase, which is also a very important step to make the entire data set very standardized. So these are the few steps that we would be going forward with. And if you see in the next basically part of code, that is basically utilized to remove or incorporate all of these steps here. So let me just go down. Yeah. So here, as you see, a function has been created called the clean text function. So this clean text function has all of these, basically these steps have been incorporated in this clean text function, wherein we are basically changing all of the text into lowercase, removing any sort of stop words that are present over here, removing any sort of space that has come up, right? So that is just give me a minute. Yeah, so this is what we are actually doing here. So this clean dot text, if we run this particular function on our data set, so it will perform like basically this clean underscore text will perform a row wise function, wherein it will go on and check in every row if any sort of stop words have to be removed, or any sort of text has to be changed into lowercase, and so on and so forth. So in the next step, basically what we are going to do is that we'll be utilizing the clean text function to the respective question and answers column in our data frame here. Okay. So this updated data frame will now contain pre-processed text. As you can understand that this is some sort of processing that we have done on the text. So that, like, it actually becomes more standardized and more readable to the model. Okay, so once if we go down, then we'll see that, this, we have used the supply function here on both the columns, questions as well as answers, to basically process our data and to get a very clean textual data here. Okay, so now the next steps that will be there is basically to transform our process data frame that actually contains the user questions and the corresponding answers into a suitable format, so that it can be fed into our chatbot model, right? Because this textual data has to be fed into a chatbot model, so some sort of encoding has to be done in this model, right? So we would actually be utilizing, like, in the next few steps, the basically the encoding would be shown, and we would finally get our chatbot model here. Okay, so the model would be in this format, like, basically you will actually get a prompt saying user and a colon. Here you have to input your question here, and then the assistant will actually be your model. So the model will actually give you the corresponding response. Okay, so this is the whatever processes were done here is basically to create a training data set. Okay, because this training data set will in turn help our model to understand that what exactly it has to do. That is the essence of your GenAI, all the GenAI projects, right? You have to be very careful in whatever you are feeding your model in, like whatever data you're feeding inside your model, right? Because if you want a relevant answer, so you have to be very careful that your data has to be processed, and it is able to answer the questions in relations to whatever is present inside the data. Okay, so that is the main basically you can say that is one of the main essence of a Gen AI model, right? So for example, whatever you feed into your chat GPT model, right? I'm sure all of you guys must have used ChatGPT at some point in time. So ChatGPT is basically said to have data up till a certain year, right? So up till that year, whatever questions you ask ChatGPT, it is actually going to give you a proper answer with respect to that question, because it has been trained on that particular data. So it is able to answer those questions. But if you go beyond that particular year, and then if you try to ask a question to ChatGPT that, for example, tell me the population of India, and say in the current year or something like that, then ChatGPT will actually throw an error. Either it will throw an error or it will give you the wrong answer. That is because the data that is present inside the ChatGPT is up till a certain year, right? So you will have to ask relevant questions with respect to that year. You cannot expect ChatGPT to answer the recent questions that are there correctly. Okay, so that is that. So moving on. Uh, if we see here, so here we have tried to explain, like, how the basic what is a transformer model, and what is the entire working that goes behind a transformer model. Okay, so basically what happens is that it a basic transformer model has an encoder and a decoder component. Okay, which employs multi-head attention and incorporates positional encoding to understand the sequential nature of the data. So basically what happens is that, for example, here we have tried to showcase with an example here, that, for example, if you want to translate this particular sentence, right? So this is what will be fed inside the encoder model, this particular sentence in French, and then the output will come as this. Okay, so the model will actually act as a decoder, and it will give you this output, right? So this is how the encoder and the decoder model works here. Okay, so the next part that is there basically shows you a particular image. that tells you that how basically the language translation from French to English takes place. Okay, so this is basically the backend image that is displayed over here. Okay, so this particular French sentence, it basically passes through various steps in the transformer model inside the encoder. Okay, and then accordingly it gets mapped to these sentences with respect to certain probabilities. Through via probabilities, these sentences, like this sentence gets incorporated, which obviously, like, is very evident in terms of neural network model and the GenAI models here. Okay, so via probability, this particular sentence gets shown to you, and that is basically how the transformer model works. Okay, so that is that. So this is the basic packages that we need to install. Okay, so the package accelerator, the package that will be acting as an accelerator and a transformer. So this basically, this line of code is to install all of those packages. So if we move on, yeah. So basically, we have utilized a GPU because a GPU is basically tailored to handle a very large set of data. Okay. So and it significantly expedites the process. So that is what we have utilized here. So we are loading a pre-trained GPT-2 model, and the tokenizer also we are uploading here. So tokenizer is nothing but, like, the way the sentences are converted into tokens, because your model doesn't have the capability to read textual data, right? So that is the reason why what we go forward and do is that we convert our sentences into tokens or numbers. Okay, so that is how the model is able to read the textual data that is present. And hence, so now here we are uploading the GPT-2 model, and we are running the data collator function, wherein we are utilizing the data collator for language modeling. And further on, we are fine-tuning our training arguments, because obviously there are certain parameters that have to be tuned in every model. So that is what we are doing here. So we have named this as training arguments function. So here, if you see, we are defining the output directory. That is the first thing that we are doing here. And then we are defining the output directory, and we are telling the number of training epochs to be equal to 3. So these are these are a few arguments that basically the GPT-2 model utilizes. So that is what we are taking into consideration here. After that, we are creating a trainer for fine-tuning our model. So basically, the arguments that we have defined above, that are being used inside this trainer function. Okay, and then we are giving our file path. This is the file path that will be utilized. Okay, and we are defining the block size and the training data set here. So once the model is fine-tuned, we are saving that model inside this .save.pretrained. We are utilizing the directories that we have given over here to save our fine-tuned model, which will be later on used. Okay, so start. Okay, so after fine tuning the model, I'm pretty sure, the next step is something that all of you guys know, that after the fine tuning the model, we will be utilizing this to easily use the model for generating responses. Okay, so if we go down, we'll be seeing here that we have defined a function called chatbot underscore response. Okay, so here we are utilizing our already fine-tuned model that we have trained before. Okay, and we are trying to generate a response using this particular function here. Okay, and the example, we have also showcased this with an example. Okay, so here the user input is what does rapid cycling mean. Okay, so our fine-tuned model has basically given this answer, which is quite apt. If you check into the document as well, this is the exact answer that is there for rapid cycling. Okay, and further on, we have also defined another question that we are saying that what is prodrome. So with respect to that, we are also getting this response that is generated by the model. Okay, so these are the few things that are there with respect to, like, how you fine tune GPT-2 model and build your own chatbot. So, like, our the courses that are there in Ivy actually will deep dive into this and will actually explain you that why are we using the arguments that we are using here. So that is something that we actually cover. So yes, now we have successfully, like, gone through this particular collab notebook, and I really hope this session was something that you guys could like, basically get a hang on the new GenAI buzzword that is going on in the industry. Okay. Now, if there are any questions, then please feel free to answer. Please feel free to ask. I'll be happy to answer. So, Pratyush Mandal has a question. So he's saying that can we get this collab file for revision? Yes, yes, Pratyush, you can get access to this file. We would be sharing the link maybe afterwards, and this file you can, like, go ahead and explore this file on your own. So yes. Any other questions, guys, that you have? Okay, then if there are no further questions, then let's wrap this up. It was great to have this session with you guys, and please feel free to look at the directory of Ivy Professional School, wherein we have listed all the things that we would actually be teaching for the GenAI students. So please feel free to go through that and contact our organizations if you are interested in to actually build your career or kickstart your career in GenAI and data science. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you.